new, like the whip, rack it up, no assist. May bitch, I ain't average. Don't forget to come and pick up your yeah.
At home? At times?
Kinda. Like, I have controversial discussions about, like the Me Too movement.
Me too?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the, movement against sexual assault against women.
Sexual assault against women.
Mm-hmm.
Me Too movement.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that a reason?
No. The Me Too movement started around the time where all the allegations came out with like Bill Cosby and like other business or people in the industry, and like people would be like coming out and just saying what happened to them. I don't know like what year the Me Too movement came out. Let me see. It's been used for a while. It's been in media since 2006. But it was early in October 2017. That's when it started becoming like viral. So there's like the abuse allegation with Harvey Weinstein. That's the man that used to like masturbate in front of like people without consent.
In public?
But like he
What?
invites them into like a place or calls them on the phone to have like a business talk and then start like without their consent.
This guy, Harvey Weinstein, he just took off his pants, jerked off in public in front of women.
Mm-hmm. Or like in a meeting or something.
Well,
like that.
even in a meeting.
Yeah, like kind of like he'll ask them to meet up, and even like on a phone call, like to like talk about. He's a comedian slash filmmaker. Yeah, he's a producer, and yeah, now he's convicted sex offender. That started out with. Yeah, and other things that he's done in third degree rape, sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, all that.
I think most of these sex offenders, they it starts off in childhood. You know, they develop like they were either raped, they were either like some type of place where their family knew that they were raped, or you know, they were just always around things that had them aroused in a very sexual desire.
Honestly, I think that he uses his position and power, and he took advantage of vulnerable people. That's what I think. I personally don't think it's like anything more than he's in a position of power, and you know.
It's bringing me back deja vu. So, my cousin, she's about to go in high school, and she told me a story a while back. I'm not gonna say her name, but she told me a story that a while back, elementary, she used to get dropped off at my house where I lived at the time. It was me and my folks. So while she was there, she told me that one day she was with a member of my family, and that particular family member happened to rape her, my cousin. My family member, she's a female, and my cousin's a female. So just to hear that, like, completely threw me off. Like, I never thought that happened to her, and especially since a girl that I knew of, that I cared about.
Yeah.
You know, it feels different. You know, because if it was a guy, if it was one of my brothers that told me that, it would have felt different too. You know, because the way I speak to her is different than the way I speak to my brothers.
Of course. There's also this notion that men can't be raped, which is false, because like it's just society. As a man, if you're raped, then it's just like, oh, what are you complaining about? You got laid or whatever. But that can be traumatic, you know. Kind of like somebody that I know That's how they lost their virginity. Like as a male, you know, didn't even understand what was happening. Like 10 years old, pretty young, and that is rape. But you can't. As a man, society makes it as though like you should be grateful that somebody let you lay them or something like that. Like you should be grateful, but that's still rape, regardless. And it's different to talk to man about it. I think that's because of the notion that you should be proud that you slept with somebody as a man, versus like that's an interesting picture. Oh, you're recording right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw that and I was like, oh.
Yeah, so there's that.
Are you afraid of that?
No, not really.
Okay. So if it gets on you, you wouldn't be.
I'm gonna kill it.
Okay. I was gonna say right now.
It's not bothering me, so I try not to. It's not dead. It didn't die. It did not die.
It didn't die?
No. It's still alive.
That's it. Where is it?
It's behind my shit.
Oh, you can take it home with you.
Yeah. It's stuck on me. Alright.
What was it? Yeah, and like there's older guys too. Like they will do anything just to feel good, you know, just to feel touched from a girl that's their age or younger.
Yeah.
They will even pay them like thousands. That's how they get their pleasure from it, you know, because they don't have no one else to do it for them.
Yeah. I feel like that's sad, to be honest. I think that's kind of sad because, like, paying somebody, I mean, that's your choice, but like, forcing somebody is something else. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, how can you look at yourself in the mirror knowing that you know, got pleasure from like somebody else's pain? And it sucks because it's just like you could be out here with like making a genuine connection with somebody and like forming a bond and just having that like clean, pure relationship versus like, you know, feeling like you just want to be touched. And I understand like for men they don't get as much attention as females do in terms of like compliments or like, you know, physical touch and things like that. But I still feel like that is something that needs to be addressed, but it doesn't warrant getting it however you can. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like I don't think anything is worth it if you're hurting somebody else. I don't think like any kind of pleasure it's worth it if you're harming another human being.
You have 3 jobs.
Well, now I'm down to 2 because I stopped working at. I used to work at a nursing facility for like 3.5 years, and then when the pandemic hit, I ended up switching jobs, and I went to this new facility that they just opened, and I was working there for like maybe 8 months or something like that. And there was an incident that I can't really disclose because of legal.
Sure.
You know, there was an incident, so I ended up I stopped working there, and I've had other offers, but I just started doing hair full time and just doing that, and then I noticed like I still make, you know, a decent amount of money to pay my bills and do all that stuff. So I was just like kind of like dragging my feet with like the whole going back to work thing. But I also don't want my license to expire, so I'm thinking about going back again. But right now I just been doing hair.
Do you still live with your brother?
But I moved to Baltic.
How long have you been on your own?
I've never really, I mean, in terms of like parents and like people who take care of you and stuff like that, I've been on my own since I was 16. But I've been with my brothers were there too. But we share a house now, and barely see each other. So technically, only thing I'm responsible for is to make sure that they're alive and they eat.
Yeah.
But
And you're the youngest? Okay.
I'm the youngest, but I'm the mother. You know, I'm raising children. I always say that. They're like, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm making food for my kids." Now it's more than it's the two of them, and now my boyfriend, which is also a big child. So I'm raising 3 children right now. Yeah.
I thought it was 3.
Mother of 3, huh?
I thought it was 3. You had 2 brothers, not your boyfriend.
That's 3.
3.
I'm raising 3 children. You got 3 kids.
Oh, man, triplets.
Triplets. It's funny because the 2 of them I have the same birthdays, so it's like twins in the 3rd one. Well, he's getting a little bit more independent, but yeah.
Do you want kids?
Huh?
Do you want to have kids?
I do kind of. It's not like I'm not like, oh my gosh, I must have kids, but it's just like I'm not opposed to having kids. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe. I can try for a second one, but if I do decide to have kids, it'll probably just be 1. I love kids, I do, and I have a lot of god kids, which I might, well, hopefully not, but you know, if anything does happen, I will inherit.
Yeah.
And they're my kids, you know, their moms drop them off, and you know, there's a little one, she's 1 year old and just running around, and you know, and she takes all my money. So that's like I gave birth to her. You know, so like I wouldn't mind just being like the cool aunt,
the cool mom,
or like the cool godmom. But I really like, I'm not opposed to like having a child, just like maybe in like 5 years or 10 years or so. My mother, however, she's already asking me for grandchildren, and I'm just like, you don't have to wait. She had kids really late, so her siblings all have grandkids. It's just us. We haven't had any kids, and like my brothers are not. They're not anywhere near thinking about having children. So.
Because you're the only one in the relationship.
Yeah. So they're looking up to me. They're looking to me to like provide the child. Yeah. And it's just like, I have dreams. Lost full weights, and this is not gonna happen. Not anytime soon. Yeah. So, how about you? Do you want kids?
I do want kids, and I plan to adopt 1 at least. After my kids have grown up, I want to adopt at an older age. I think just having kids really shows you skills and perspective where you haven't, you know, if you don't have it in yourself. So, regardless if you're married, in a relationship, I think everyone should have kids, because that way we won't have kids who are homeless, you know, who won't be homeless in the street, or who don't have parents.
I definitely thought about adopting. You know, for the longest time, I had, well, if you asked me like 6 years ago, I would have said, I don't want kids, I want to adopt. Because I always had this vision, you know, 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, focus on my career, you know, buy a condo, adopt a child.
Condo?
Yeah, because I didn't want to live in a house by myself.
This won't be an ideal house the way it is?
No, I would get a well, if I were to live on my own with a child, I would probably like buy like a nice condo. That's like, you know, a couple of bedrooms, but like if I scream, the neighbors can hear me. You know, like I wouldn't want to live in a house by myself.
Would this be near a neighborhood, or just, you know, your own spot, your own land around it?
No, it'd be like a condo, like a complex.
Yeah. So
it looks like apartments, but like much nicer.
Okay.
And like you actually own them instead of like renting. So like that.
No restrictions. No
restrictions, like, because it's your own. Like I could, you know, do renovations, make it how I want, anything like that. So it's not a lease or a rent. It's just like a house that you, well, an apartment that you bought, basically. So that was like what I had in mind for the longest time, like 6 years ago. And like maybe like when I'm close to like retiring, adopt a child or 2.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was your plan 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's changed.
Yeah, it's changed. Now I'm thinking maybe one. I could stretch for 2.
2 condos?
2 children,
2 children
of my own. Honestly, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future awaits.
What about names? Have you even thought of their names?
No, I haven't gotten that far. Definitely not that far. I just got to the whole I don't mind having a child phase. So I'm definitely not thinking about baby names. I've definitely been more of like the independent type. I like to work. I really do. And having the childhood that I've had with my parents, it would be a disservice to have a child and not be there for them. You know, and always be working or like hire a nanny. I don't want to, or like even my mother to raise my child. Like she would do a great job. She would, but I don't want my child calling their grandma mom. You know what I mean? So if I have a child, I definitely want to be there because my mother, she's a nurse, but for the first she didn't work until we all went to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she was always home until we all went to school. And when we went to school, she went to work around the time that we went to school. So it's like she was always there. Yeah. Always. Because by the time I get home, she's there. When I wake up in the morning, she's there. You know, growing up as a baby, she was there constantly. So if I have kids, like I want to be able to provide that for them. And if I can't, because like I'm kind of sort of a workaholic. Yeah. But like I don't want to neglect my child. And I don't want to, you know, give my mom that responsibility or like drop the baby off at grandma and just go to work and just come back or like hire a nanny. I don't want to do that. So that's why kids were on the table for me, because I know how intense the career I'm chasing is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know that being a lawyer takes really a long time. Time of patience, and especially since you have kids around the house.
Yeah. And also being a lawyer, you take the work home with you.
Yeah. It's
not like you clock in and then you clock out and you're done. If you have, you know, to go through these case files, no matter how long it takes, it could be midnight, you gotta go through the case files to be prepared. Yeah. Like that's just how it is. So it's not like, you know, you leave work at work. And that is very invasive. And I don't think it's healthy for children. But I pray that, you know, if God allows me to have kids, I figure it out. Because I definitely want to give like my kids like that bond that my parents have with me and that I have with them. Where like we're friends first and then, you know, parents second.
You want to have different relationships with the kids. It's not just a mom.
No, I want to be their friend. So I have to be present. I can't just be the mom that works and stops by and just maybe like tucks him in or something.
Yeah.
I want to be there. I want to be able to take him.
That's pretty healthy, because I know my parents are just, you know, they're my parents. But I feel like at times they're not my friends. They just tell me what's good and their intention. So not me going to college. Yeah. So not me going to college. Well, actually not me finishing college, like dropping out of college for the 2 years, 3 years. That was, my dad was pretty upset. He was angry with me. So I told him, you know, right now you're gonna be angry, but it's my decision. You know, so he took it. His approach was as a father. You know, he was really disappointed. But when I came to my friends and told them, "Hey man, I'm dropping out of college," oh, they were excited because they thought I had other plans, which at the time I didn't have plans. You know, I just decided to drop out of college with no intention because I was just doing class after class, but it wasn't feeling like I was accomplishing anything, regardless of my grades. You know, so now after years, I really developed more of a relationship with my father, because at the time it was just my father. He was barely at home, so that's why I developed more of a bond with my mother and my godmother until I was 13. And at 13 years old, I moved in with my father and his wife, and I developed a bond with my mother, my stepmother, and him for 5 years after I moved out. So things could have played out differently, but I'm still grateful that I've developed bonds with my mother. Pretty much, I like to call her my mother because she's the one who I grew up with, and my other mother, because I had two different worlds to look at. You know? So I like having those connections where I have a bond with a woman who has close to their emotions, like I said, and a man who actually like he works hard. Because even though he was like not in the house, he was actually providing us with the tools we needed. You know, like like the rents, pay the bills, just those things to keep going.
What typical male roles of like, you know, what society calls male roles?
I call it the box. You know,
The box, yeah.
The box.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a provider. As, you know, a man. But I feel like as a female, society judges you way more. As a working mom and, you know, just being a provider. And I feel like society judges you more. Versus like if you're, you know, you're a man, you're working.
They judge you a lot.
Yeah, they judge you way more. Because it's like, oh, she's like, how could you? You're a mother.
Yeah.
You're not spending time with your kids. Like, how could you? And it's just like, the world's changing. You know, I was told my father, like my mom, you know, because they're very into like, they want you to settle down and get married. My mom got married when she was like 30. She wanted, because she, after my grandpa passed away, she was in 11th grade in high school, and then she dropped out when she went back. So when she went back, like, you know, she was a little bit older. So by the time she graduated college, she was early 30s, well, 30s, and then she got married. She had my brother, like, she was 33. So for her, she's thinking,
your mother, she
got
33.
She got her first kid at 33. After, but she wanted to go to med school. She didn't wanna stop. It was just like the pressure of her siblings and her mom. It's like, you know, you're pushing 30, you need to be married by 25, and you can't keep going to school. Like, you're never gonna find a husband, this, that, and the third. So she stopped. You know, she stopped, and you know, she got her RN. But that's not what she wanted. She wanted med school. She wanted to be a doctor. But because of all that stress of that, you need to be married already, you know. And it's not like, you know, it's not really like she just, you know, she wasn't doing well in school, so it took her forever. No, she was very close to her father. Like, very close. Daddy's little girl. And when he passed, she was pretty young. She was 11th grade. Like, 16 years old. She could not handle it.
That was her only male figure?
Her father.
Yeah.
Well, that was her closest.
Okay.
You know, she was daddy's little girl, always around him. It's like the same, like, repeated with me and my father. Like, I'm very like daddy's little girl. And yeah. So like, she dropped out, so that pushed her timeline back. But you know, they didn't understand that, because they're like, okay, you're gonna be 30, you need to be married, you need to have kids, you need to do this, you need to do that. And she stopped. She stopped school. She didn't go to med school. She stopped, and she just got married. But for her, that's still too old. She even tells her, she's like, don't do like me. Like, don't wait till you're 30. You know, you should have your kids like by 25. Like, the kids you need to have, like 25, I should be done with having kids.
Oh, she's telling you that.
Yeah. You know, I should be married. I should do this. And since I turned 20, since I turned 18, my mom's been telling me to get married. You know, and she really loves my boyfriend. She really does. So for her, she's just like, good. you know, it's like, perfect. I'm like, marry him. And I'm just like, mother, I am a child. I know you don't see it, but I'm still a child, you know, and I still see myself as a child. Like, to me, I feel like marriage is like, it's a couple years down the line for me. So it's just, you know, but I have always seen myself as being an independent woman.
Yeah.
Who works. I'm a workaholic. I love to work. I love to be busy. Like, but the thing is, I'm both, because I love to cook, and I can throw down. Okay, I can throw down. I love to cook. I love to clean, but it has to be on my own time. You know what I mean? It has to be like, okay, I'm cooking today. So, you know, what I do is I meal prep like one day a week. I'll cook for like the whole week, and then, you know, the rest of the week I have to myself to work, to do whatever. You know what I mean? So that works for me. But with a child, it doesn't. You know? because you gotta be there, and society's gonna crucify you.
Yeah.
They don't understand that, and times has changed, and women like to work now. That's just what it is. You know, you're raised now with the notion that you can do whatever you want. It's not, oh, you need to find a rich husband.
Yeah.
You know, that's different. It's just like, oh, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor, you could be whatever you want. You know, what was your oyster?
There's a lot of subjects in there that you just said. Now I'm gonna break down.
So
The first one was the your mom's, her parents. They told her that she needs to do this by a certain age, and now she's throwing that at you.
Yeah.
So like, oh man, so like things have changed. Do you think like you feel like maybe in the future you'll tell your kids to do that? You know, at a certain age you're supposed to do this because you're telling them from your experience. You know, at this age, I did this stuff, but you're not doing it. You know.
Yeah. I would not. I don't think there's such thing as a timeline. I know that people feel like you have to be married and whatever by a certain age, right? I understand as a female, time is pressing because you know you have a window when you can have kids. You know, and for me personally, and the women in my family, I have 20 years to have kids before I can anymore, because that's when they hit menopause very early. So for a woman, I get that pressing to, you know, start a family as fast as you can, because you can't have kids, you know, or like even if you can, there's complications. Once you pass 35, there's more complications with having children
For women to have
for
kids.
women. But at the same time, I don't think like that's the most important thing. You know what I mean? Because I met this couple, you know, they just got married, you know, totally in love. They were 60 years old. And that was like the first genuine love that they've had. It's like from a lifetime of meaningless relationships. And that was worth it for them. And it was like they met each other like 2 weeks and got married. Because that was like the most genuine relation that they've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And they can't have kids anymore. They're old. You know what I mean? But, you know, imagine not having to rush to, you know, once you're in high school, you should be dating or this, that, and well, now it's middle school now. Like middle schoolers already dating and, you know, and doing all that stuff. And like, imagine the kind of heartache that it would save, the kind of like, you know, from like bad breakups, toxic relationships, if people just take their time to find their Mr. Perfect, you know what I mean? Or like Mrs. Perfect.
Yeah.
Or however perfect a person can be, you know what I mean? But people are just like, you know, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, I would not do that to my kids. It could be like, they could be 57 years old. If that's how long it takes for them to find a genuine connection and not feel like, oh, time is wasting. I need to hurry up and get married. And I witnessed way too many divorces with like people, you know, they get married, have like 3 kids,
and that's pressure because a lot of us think like we need to be with someone, you know.
You need, that's pressure. And then years later, you realize, I don't like this person.
Yeah. No.
You know, a lot of I think that's where it comes into like being in love with love, but not being in love with the person that you're with.
You're in love with being loved, but you don't love
the person that you're with. And then you wake up one day, you're like, wait, who is this person? Like, you know, you're not the person I knew. Like, no, he was never the person you knew. You made up this idea of this person that you were in love with. You never got to know him for real, because you were in love with love, not with that person. So that's why I wouldn't rush my kids, because I want my kids to find a genuine relationship, a genuine connection with whoever they fall in love with on their time.
How did you meet your boyfriend?
Actually, so we've known each other, like, he's known me since I was born, because he's older than me.
Since you were born.
Yeah, so, our parents actually went to school together.
So family is close.
Yeah, so when we were younger, we used to, like, do this vacation thing together, like, as a family, and I was like, maybe, like, 5 years old last time, or, like, 6, from where I now remember, 6 or 7 or whatever, and, like, our families were always, like, close, and my dad and his father were best friends, and my mother was pretty close to his mom, and like they would, you know, be with the adults, and then all of us would be together and stuff like that. But getting older, they ended up moving to Florida and things like that. So but there was always like we always kept in touch, whether it was like birthdays or holidays, just like, you know, Happy New Year, like Happy Birthday or something like that. And
The little things.
yeah, it was just like little conversations here and there, like throughout the years. Like I actually, until like we actually started talking, I didn't even realize like we've been keeping in touch like forever, because like I stopped using my Facebook, and when I go on my Facebook, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's been like constant, like ever since like, you know, we separated. It's been like a constant, you know, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, happy birthday, happy holidays,
Yeah.
like something like that. And then
And it's still important, you know. You're still remembering his birthday.
yeah.
And still
Well, it was easy because he shared the same exact birthday as my brother, and when we were kids, he celebrate together. So when I be like happy birthday to my brother, and I'm like, oh, where's that kid that you guys used to celebrate? You know, our parents used to throw the parties at the same time when we were kids. I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll be like, oh, let me text him and say happy birthday. Yeah, so that was like, you know, how it started. And a fun fact, actually, we never fully had like a full conversation, you know, because I was just like the little girl, you know what I mean? So, we never
in conversation through text.
yeah, like, or talk on the phone. Like we never had like full blown conversation. It was just like happy birthday, happy, like just in passing, like just like formal conversations. Never really like, you know, who are you and like what you been up to or anything like that. So it was like, no, it was so funny because the first time we had a full blown conversation, it was because he had sent me a request for, you know, when you send like a request for like Uber Eats, you get like $5 back.
Okay.
If you get somebody new to sign up. And at the time, that did not exist in Connecticut, you know. So I'm just like, what is that? What is Uber Eats? Like, what's like, you know, what is this?
He was in
and then
Florida.
he sent me a link to do the Uber Eats, and so he could get $5. So then I'm just like, what is this? What's Uber Eats? And then he was like, what do you mean what's Uber Eats? I'm like, I, you know, never heard of it. It wasn't around here yet. So then we barely had Uber, you know, like, or anything, or DoorDash or anything. All of that, those things came after. So I was just like, oh, what is that? And he was like so shocked, because how could you not have Uber Eats? Like, where do you live? Like, what kind of woods and things like that. So then I was like, you know, asking questions about it, and then he was like, where do you live? And I was like, yeah, I had moved to Connecticut then. I was like, I live in Connecticut now. He was like, where's Connecticut? Like, what's that? What's Connecticut? And then I was like, basically, where I live, it's just, you know, very rural, very like woods and, you know. So then he was like, oh, so you live in the boonies. I was like, yeah, I do. I kind of do. And I like it. It's quiet. It's different from like the boonies, you know, like, you know, in the woods.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I live in the boonies. I like it. It's different from New York, you know. New York is great. It really is, but it's a lot going on, you know. So the first couple of years of me moving here was I was little, but after a couple of years, I really loved it. So I was trying to explain to him, like, you know, it's really great. It's such a change of like scenery and everything like that. And he was like, oh, okay. So you don't have Uber Eats. That, like, how do you do, like, do you have delivery? I was like, certain places deliver, but, you know. And then we just started talking about that. And then he was like, well, now I'm not going to get my $5. So he was like, I was like, what do you have in the fridge, you know? And he was like, oh, I have this steak, but I don't know how to make it. And I coached him through making himself a whole meal. And he was so shook, because that's the first time he actually cooked something without burning the house down. So then it was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, then it just started, like, conversations.
Yeah.
And that, you know, one thing led to another.
You took him through of how to cook this whatever it was in the refrigerator, and he ended up liking the food too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yep. He was so proud of himself.
Yeah.
He cooked the whole steak rice, everything. Yeah.
I
And
think
then I was like,
that's what-
saved you $5.
yeah.
I was like, now I just gave you more than $5 because that meal would have cost a lot more. And I coached him through it, and he was just like so shook because he never, thought of himself like being able to do anything like that. Yeah. So that started like, the conversations and
The spark.
just So it was just like more than just like, oh, I'm just,
Yeah.
the kid sister. And it was just like, oh, this person that just taught me how to make a full meal and things like that. And then we just started getting to know each other more.
And he lives in Connecticut now.
Yeah, he moved to Connecticut. Yeah, couldn't stay away.
That's it. You really have, wow. That's like the first I hear a story of you having a relationship with someone at a young age, like kindergarten, even before that, and you grew up with them. They still connected to you, so you have a strong foundation there with your boyfriend.
Like we're very close, weirdly close. His mother is not really too happy with that. She'll be like, certain things you don't share with each other. You guys are too close. Like, this is not healthy. And I'm just like listen. Half the time, it feels like talking to yourself. Somebody who just fully understands everything. Just share anything. Just talk about any weird things, anything that you wouldn't talk to. Like, you wouldn't talk to any person with.
Yeah.
Even like your bestest friend.
Yeah.
Just like, just being that comfortable with somebody. It's a little freaky sometimes.
That's a good way to put it, though. Talking to yourself.
Talking to yourself,
Yeah.
Like talking to yourself and just understanding. Like that
Yeah.
understanding is like only you can understand how you feel, but that person understands you like how you would. And sometimes I feel like he understands me better than I do, because sometimes like that's also why like I struggle with dealing with emotions, but that's because like I hate to be sad, and I have headache issues, so like being sad equals a headache, like instantly. So I try to avoid it because I feel like avoiding being sad is worth not getting this migraine that I'm gonna get. So sometimes like when I'm upset, then he'll be like, "You're upset," and I'm like, I don't think
He
so.
just knows you're upset.
Like he knows. He was like, I feel like you're talking to me, but you're not fully there. And I'm just like, no, what are you talking about? Like, I'm right here. And he's like, no, you're not. And I'm just like thinking about it. I'm just like, you know what? I am upset. I've had a horrible day and I'm trying to get over it, but I am not like my best happy self and things like that. So that helped a lot. Just like having that, always had that connection. And he's known me for like all of my life. Like I said, he's older, so he was born, like, no, I mean, my parents and them were friends before I was born, so, yeah, just always, yeah, and his sisters are amazing, and they're really cool, yeah, and his oldest sister, like, she was always in charge of, like, watching me and stuff like that, like, and my mother was the one that taught her how to cook and everything, which is, like, I say that, but I always feel a little jealous, because she didn't teach me how to cook. My mom, she just told me, if you're my daughter, you will know how to cook. And she just told me to figure it out, basically. She was like, if you come from my stomach, if you come from my bloodline, that's all you need to know. You just will get it. You'll just get it. And I did. I mean, I did. But,
She was right.
Yeah, she was right. But that's to show you how close the family was. Like, she taught his older sister how to cook.
Your boyfriend's able to figure out that you need to speak, even if you don't talk, he just feels it, he just feels your energy.
Yeah.
Like, hey baby, or hey sweetie, what's wrong?
Yeah. Sometimes, like, even when I don't even know. He's like a lot of insight in like
he's very strong with his emotions too.
Yeah, he's actually, that was very surprising. Because he's, how, I mean, I'm not really like a big zodiac person.
The signs?
Yeah, like I'm not really that big, but I see certain, similarities in people that share birthdays. So for example, my brother, that he has the same exact birthday as, like same day and everything. They share a lot in terms of like they read a lot. Like, they read, like, books, like, giant books. You know, like, 1,000 chapters each book. And they'll just sit there and read and read and read and read. And they both do that. And they even exchange books. Because they like the same genres.
Yeah.
And then, but my brother, he's very closed off. You know, he's very, you know, stays in his head and just, you never really see him upset or sad or happy. It's just, he's just there, you know. He's just very nonchalant.
Is that your older brother?
Yeah, my older brother. He's very chill and relaxed, you know. But with my boyfriend, he loves to read. He does stuff, like, they like the same things in video games, but he's very in touch with his emotions, which he said, like, he's never been like that before. So that could be, like, just how close we are.
Yeah.
But he's very in touch with his emotions. Well, from my experience, like, I see that. Yeah, very in touch, which is great, because then, you know, we're always on the same page. And in terms, like, if you feel upset, you're not gonna just, like, bottle it in like guys do and just, like, let it fill up until you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, okay, babe, I didn't like, you know, I feel like.
Oh, and he talks to you too.
Yeah, like, he'll be like, I feel like I didn't like this situation,
Yeah.
And it's just, it doesn't take much for me to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I upset you, and moving on. That's it. He's
straightforward.
Yeah, he's very straightforward. He doesn't hold anything back, even if sometimes, like, I didn't see it, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not how I remembered it happened. But, you know, over time, I grew into just realizing that what I notice is not, like, my point of view is different from somebody else's, and to just, like, apologize and just keep it pushing. You know, just say, like, that was not my intention, and just move on. Yeah. So things don't get piled up, because he's very, like, vocal about things. Like, very vocal.
I think it's very good, though. Like, he's very vocal, you know, he's straightforward about his thoughts. Like, if he wants to say something, he'll say it. And so, even you say he's close to your middle brother? My brother? And your older brother is in his own world.
Yeah. But he's a Virgo too, but they're, like, total opposite. That's why I don't believe in the signs, because I have 2 Virgo brothers, and they're total opposites. Total opposites. Like, absolutely, like, hot and cold. Completely different.
Do you feel like you are your brothers, both of them, and you? Do you have a little of them? Do you have some of their and you?
The traits?
Yeah.
I guess.
Being
I could say that.
Being that you like your younger sister.
Yeah.
They have had a big influence on you.
Yeah. I would say that. I did fight my own battles growing up. I didn't really go to them for help. I was very, like, tomboyish, you know. I was more, like, I related more to them than anything, because I was the only girl, you know. And then my cousin came to live with us. That was also a boy. And I remember, like, my mother, she would, like, buy me dresses, or actually she had this thing where she would, like, have a seamstress make my dresses as a kid, and she wouldn't actually just buy clothes, unless it was, like, regular, like, you know, house clothes and stuff like that. She'll have custom made clothes for me.
I like that.
And they were, like, looking back, they were so cute, but I hated them. You know, I hated them, the poofy and the and she was just like, she just wanted to dress me up like I was a little doll, and I was, you know, I was the 3rd child, well, 4th child, because she had a miscarriage before me. Well, a stillbirth. She had a stillbirth before me, and she wasn't thinking about having any more kids.
A stillbirth?
Yeah, so that's when, like, you carry a child full term, and then they die, like, before delivery. Yeah, like 9 months, like a full baby, and then it dies. Like, and then you have to actually deliver the child, but it's not alive anymore, which sucks.
She still has to go through the pain of
but don't have a child. Yeah, but you don't have a child.
That's sad.
So yeah, because you carry the child to term. She carried the child to term, and then she lost it. Well, almost to term, and she lost it. So she was just like, you know, I have 2 boys, and then she got pregnant with me. So when I was born, she wanted to dress me up and do all the stuff that she wanted to do when she had a girl. But I hated it. I hated it so much because my brothers looked at me and they laughed. I wanted to be dressed like them. You know what I mean? And like if they're like, oh my gosh, you look like such a girl. And for me, that felt like an insult. Like, so I remember when I wore my first pair of pants and I loved it so much. And that's what I wanted to wear. I just wanted to wear pants and shirts like my brothers. And my mom, she was like, you can't. And, in our religion too, females don't really wear pants that much. And I'm just like, well, I'm wearing pants. I'm Seventh-day Adventist.
So what?
Seventh-day Adventist.
What is that?
It's like like how Jews observe the Sabbath. But it's like a Protestant religion that observes the Sabbath. And also, like, we eat kosher, too.
What culture?
Kosher. Like, you don't eat pork products or any kind of, like, any of the animals that in Leviticus that tells you that it's unclean or anything like that.
In your religion, there are rules for women that they cannot wear a certain dress. They cannot wear certain clothing.
Well, it's not strict. Like, it's not like, Islam or Mormon or anything like that. So, well, it depends. So I can't wear pants to church. I can't wear pants to church, but it's not as strict. Like in my everyday life, I have to wear dresses or skirts. Like, it's not that strict, but it's preferred. Some of the people that, like, the females in my church that are very, like, invested, and that's, like, it could be snowing outside, freezing cold, they'll be wearing skirts or dresses because they have to. No, because they feel obligated to. You don't have to. It's not like a law. As long as you just don't come into the sanctuary with it. Yeah. But in your day-to-day life, it's not like enforced. But some people choose to follow that, but it's not as strict as other cultures.
What is the religion called again?
Seventh-day Adventist. It was founded by Ellen G. White.
Wow. I'm going to do more research on that. Seventh-day Adventist. Mm-hmm. Here in New London, there's different types of churches. Mm-hmm. And when I was young, I used to go to the St. Mary's Church here in London. They're a Catholic church. Mm-hmm. So I was born into the Catholic family. But I always questioned, like, my beliefs. Like, why certain things work the way they do. Yeah. Or, like, why should we believe this book, when there's other books out there. Yeah. So now, most recently, I just started reading this book, The Stranger. Mm-hmm. It's about, it's going into detail about what the Bible is trying to tell you. So pretty much it's like, you don't have to accept it, but you should understand at least, So now, I don't put myself into any group, like, for religion, because even though I was born into a Catholic family. Yeah. You have your reservations. I just need to find, like, what's my own religion, Mm-hmm. I mean, of course. Mm-hmm. You question things, but I've always been, like, a very spiritual person. So for me, like, religion is more of an outlet. Okay. So it makes sense to me. It's like, you have issues, you just write them in a piece of paper and put them in a box at church and pray over it. You know what I mean? Or, like, you're having, a very hard time dealing with something, you sing a couple of hymns and, indulge in, like, some praise and, just let it go. Let him deal with it. Yeah. For me, it works because it makes sense to me. And it just helps me through life. So sometimes, whether or not I question, oh, is this even real? I don't care. It could be fake, for all I care. But I don't care if it's fake. I don't care about that. Mm-hmm. Because it's a part of me that I need, that
Some people smoke weed. Some people have like a hobby, you know, something like that. Or I have the church, you know, I have God. So just let things go and forget about them. So whether turns out it's fake, turns out, you know, it doesn't matter to me because it makes my life worth a lot more just having that outlet. So I never really cared to question.
Question him.
Yeah. Because I just feel like it's just so much easier to just believe it. And just, you know, it's so much, and it's not even like just being like gullible or just being like, you know, easily fooled or something. It's just, this world is tough. And everybody needs something.
Yeah.
Whether drinking alcohol, smoking weed, religion. I feel like that's the same, one and the same. You need something, like, to be sane through the world, to make it, bad things happen every day.
I wouldn't accept alcohol though.
Not alcohol.
Nah.
It's not socially acceptable. But it's an outlet.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to deal with your problems. You chug down a bottle of Hennessy or something, and you're just passed out drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take the problem away, but it's a temporary fix.
It could, like, it could just kill you, and then all your problems will be over.
True.
Yeah.
True. That's true. Yeah, but that's just how I take religion. I take it as what helps me through whatever I'm going through. It helps me. So I put my faith in him regardless of whatever, if science says this or people prove that.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter to me. I don't care to know about. I mean, I don't care. Because I need that. That's what I was raised on. That's how you deal with problems. Like, if I found out somebody I'm close to is sick, the first thing I do is I get on my knees and I pray nonstop. Sometimes,
pray for them.
yeah, sometimes, you know, I'll be up all night. Just in that moment, I feel there's a presence for me. So when I pray, I don't feel a void. So that also helps me not question, because I don't feel a void when I pray. Like, I feel something there. You know, I feel like I'm talking to something. You know?
And that's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something there present. And when things happen, then whether people believe it's just you manifesting your own reality or God blessing you, it happens. Miracles happen.
I do believe that.
Yeah.
So I just started getting closer to God, because I'm still questioning things, but I want to learn, I want to understand it. So yesterday, after finishing a chapter in this book, an hour later goes by. I go upstairs, and usually I get on my laptop. I try to finish the video I was doing yesterday, and then I look to my left. Now, by my bed there is a window, and my bed is close to the wall, so it's like in a corner. On the left side, I see the wall, and I see a figure there that's never been there before. I'm like, no way, because I see a small cross, like, dented inside the wall, and then I start losing my mind. No way, because earlier that day, while I was reading, I told, all right, give me a sign that you're real, you know, because I'm not really connected to you like how you are with him. Give me a sign that you're real. At least show me that you are listening, something, you know. And then throughout the day, I forgot about it. But then when that happened, I lost my mind. Like, no way, because that was never there. That was never there before. And then it's still there. Like, I told everyone. I told my cousin. I told, hey, you know, this happened. There's no way that this had happened because it was never there before. Yeah. The wall is painted. You cannot see any scratches on it. But then there's this little here piece on the wall. There's a cross there, a perfectly cross. You know, it's like perfectly shaped cross. And it's just there. And it just freaked me out.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, hey, you asked for a sign. There you go. You asked for a sign. There you go. You know, I have a lot to be thankful for. And there's nothing else that can make sense to me besides God. You know, it's just, that just makes sense because, you know, you get sick. Like, I remember as a kid, from traveling, I contracted malaria in I think it's like, I don't know how you, I think it's like typhoid or something. Or
While you were in
like
New York?
No, from traveling, like,
Okay.
here, Haiti, and everything like that. I contracted, and malaria at the time was, well, malaria is pretty bad illness, and people die, and I contracted both at the same time.
There's 2 types of malaria?
No, malaria and the other one. It's, I know it's typhoid. I don't know how to say in French. It's typhoid fever. See? That's what it is. Typhoid fever.
Okay, it's not just like human. It could be food and water.
Mm-hmm. And then I contracted malaria. See? At the same time. At the same time. Like, the symptoms for malaria is like chills, fever, sweating, abdominal pain, muscles, fatigue, shivering, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, mental confusion, pallor. Yeah, at the same time. Both at the same time.
Shit.
At the same time. You know, I couldn't eat anything, couldn't hold anything down. Like, I'm literally IV is what was keeping me, you know, in like the serums. Like, there's like, I forget what it's called, but they use it at the nursing home or the hospitals if you're like severe dehydration. It's like a little bit yellowish, and they just like, you know, inject you with that fluid. That was what was keeping me alive. And you know,
had IV, you had other things on you.
Just like, that's it. Just laying there. I was like 7 years old or 8, I don't remember, but I was pretty young, and I just remember I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't eat anything because nothing would stay down. You know, I got chills. I'm sweating. I'm cold. Just awful. You know, the malaria itself can kill you right off the bat. Typhoid fever can kill you right off the bat. I had both at the same time. Nothing else makes sense to me. He told me that was not my time. I was laying in that room, and I just kept, like, you know, hearing noises, and just like something was there.
Yeah.
You know, a white figure. I even saw it, and even after that, I saw it like in the yard.
With your eyes open.
Yeah.
Even when you were laying down in that bed.
Yeah.
No sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep. You had your eyes open, and you still saw the figure.
Yeah. It was no face. It was just like passing through. And even like after that, after I healed, I seen it in the yard, and I tried to call somebody to be like, can you see? Just like the person who walked through while wearing all white. And maybe my mom was playing tricks on me, but I should not have survived that. And I did. Having both of those illnesses at the same time, I should not have survived that. You know, there's so many things, you know, from like my car accident I just got into like 2 weeks ago. Just.
That's not your car?
Oh no, that is a rental. That the insurance.
But that's a nice color on you though. That car.
That's nice. Can't keep it. Nice. Can't keep it.
So you were in a car accident, you were in a sickness in bed, and you could have died both times. That car accident could have died.
Yeah. And you know, the accident, I kind of blame myself because I never leave the house without praying. I never drive off without asking him to take the wheel. And that day, I mean, it wasn't me driving, my brother. We just got in a car and drove. And like the feeling, like the whole time driving, I just felt off, like something was going to happen. But a part of me just feels like if I had prayed before I left, it would be okay. Like there was nothing would have happened.
You have a routine. When you wake up, you pray. That's the first thing you do.
Yeah. When I get in the car before I start or I press drive, I pray. I'm like, take the wheel, get me home safe, or like get me there safe, get me back. You know. Cause honestly, I just feel like waking up in the morning is a miracle itself. Walking out the door and making it back home that's a miracle itself, you know. So much things that can happen in so little time, which is why like I let him have the day, and that's why I feel like that I generally feel like it wouldn't have happened if I had prayed before leaving the house. But it didn't, thinking like it wasn't me driving, I wasn't thinking about it. You know, you have your routine and it's just it sticks. But when you're not driving, somebody else is, then it's just like it's different because you're just a passenger. And then I forgot. So
Nobody was hurt when that happened.
not severely. I have a lumbar strain, so like the curved part of my lower back, my spine, is straightened when it's supposed to be curved, which might cause like some discomfort.
And that was before the accident.
That was after.
You were just born with it.
No, that was a result of the accident.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody else was fine. It was just me. I pretty much that got hurt. And like the person in the other car got hurt too.
What happened?
So we were driving, and then the car was like, so there was like their driveway, but there was also a light there because it was an intersection. So we're driving, and then I'm just like noticing. I'm like, is that car moving? You know, I'm like,
you were in a highway.
Slow motion. No, we were just like a regular road.
Okay.
I'm just like, is that car moving? I don't understand. Like, I feel like the car is moving. And when I noticed the car was actually moving, I called my brother, and he reacted very fast. And because even the police officer was like, if he did not react, she would have died. You know, we would have hit her.
Died.
Like the lady, she would have died because she just came right in front of us, and the collision would have been like right at her. So it would have hit her, like the driver's side. That's where like the car, it would have hit her directly, and she could have died. But my brother swerved and tried to avoid her, like hitting her directly, and ended up like hitting the back of the car. But from what they said, is just like, oh, she thought it was a flashing red light. So what made no sense to me, because if it was like, you know, you had a green light, it turned yellow and then red, and you just kind of took that red light, that's different. Yeah. Versus like you have a solid red light that you assume was flashing. Whether or not it was flashing, that's still a stop sign. You don't just drive through it. I feel like maybe they shouldn't have been driving.
It was an older
person.
It was lights, or just
it was a stoplight. It was like a traffic light.
Okay.
So she said that the light is flashing red. It wasn't flashing red. My light was green, which means your light was solid red, not a flashing red. So I don't know if it was like a mistake or whatever, or maybe like vision problems or something, but that's what happened. And she just drove in front of us, and that whole time like it made no sense, because it was just like what? It was a solid red light. He just drove through a red light.
You know, I have sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just, when it's orange, you're supposed to like slow down.
That makes sense. But the light was solid red. It wasn't like she didn't have a green light before. Like the main road had a green light. After we had passed, if she had waited, then the light would have turned for her. But like the cars in front of us went through. Like it was our light. And you know, like when the main road, like the light switches, it takes a lot longer if you're coming from the side, because the main road mostly has the green lights. So the cars in front of us are driving through, so it's not like you
were on the main road.
We were on the main road, and she's coming out her driveway.
She's coming out her driveway.
Yeah, but the way, because there's a street in front of, like it's like a crossroad, but when you go up there, it's somebody's driveway. It's not a road. So, but there's still a traffic light right there. So she was coming down, and this is the main road, green light, red light coming from both sides, and she just drove through thinking that it was flashing. I don't know if she was blinking or something, but it was definitely not flashing, because the main road had it, and we weren't the first car to drive through the light. You know, there was cars in front of us. So there's that. So that's what happened, and then nobody got seriously injured.
You taking anything for your back?
I have stuff. I don't necessarily take them, but.
Do you smoke?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I used to. And then, well, obviously, we smoked together once.
It was one, and that was my second time smoking shit.
Yeah.
Like second time since me
Smoking ever.
Yeah.
I was such a bad influence. Wow. No, honestly, I have a couple of friends that would blame their smoking issues on me, and it's funny. It's ironic because I don't even smoke anymore. I haven't smoked in a while.
It's a choice you want? Like you don't want to smoke?
Yeah, it's a choice. I don't know why. Like I never had issues with it before, and then I started to feel paranoid. I started like getting that paranoid feeling, and that was like my cue that I shouldn't do it. And every time I did it, it was just more like I feel like it was just something tugging at me.
You were feeling paranoid when you were constantly smoking?
No, I never felt paranoid. I never constantly smoked. It was more like a recreational thing, which was like maybe like once or twice a month or something. It was never like, and then when school was in session, like I just stopped smoking completely. Mm-hmm. So I never really like fully smoked. You know how like wake and bake, I was never like there. But I never had any issues with it. And then all of a sudden, I started to feel uncomfortable and paranoid and all that. Mm-hmm. And just something tugging at me. And every time I did it, I started feeling weird and guilty or whatever. So I just stopped.
But yeah, I smoke. I started smoking consistently since last 2 years ago in summer. Mm-hmm. So now it's just part of my routine.
I hope it wasn't because of me.
No.
I hope I didn't introduce you. I remember because I was like, no, you gotta smoke it this way. Yeah, I was coaching you through it all. And now I don't even smoke anymore. You know, I have like 3 other friends that they're like, oh my gosh, you taught me how to smoke, and then they smoke like heavily. I feel kind of guilty, and I'm just like, no, I mean, I never did it consistently. Mm-hmm. And I've been, you know, I tell people that I never did it consistently, but you know, they like it and it makes them feel good, so they do it all the time. But for me, I never could have like just smoked all the time. Something about always wanting to be doing something keeps you from like trying to get high.
And it was illegal back in the day.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I can say back in the day now because now it's not.
No, it's not, right? Funny how things change. Funny how things change.
But yeah, I just like, in case, you know, like I said, you want to put it right there behind me. Like, okay, in case smoke, you know.
No, those days are behind me now. Those days are behind me.
What do you do now?
To get some food. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to catch my boyfriend before he goes to work, and then I'll probably just relax. Let me see what my day looks like tomorrow.
How was those beans, by the way? Was it?
It was pretty good. It was really good. Okay. Actually, I never really eat beans like by themselves, and that was pretty good.
Okay.
That was pretty good. Alright, tomorrow at 2:30. Oh, I have a pretty easy day. Okay. Not bad. Okay, so basically, I am free for the evening. I only had one client today, which was like 3 hours, and I finished. Yeah, so imagine I worked for 3 hours and I made $130.
Yeah.
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 Exactly. Yeah. Imagine, like my whole day is for me. I can do whatever I want now.
And it's not even work. Like you just like.
It's not, and I love it, and I love what I do.
Do you just do women's hair, or do you guys do guys?
I started going to the direction of men, but then I stopped because it's not as lucrative. Like females get a lot more complicated things that I can charge a lot for, and like I don't have to do as much. Kind of like, you know, like a haircut's like $25, or just like a couple cornrows, and just, or cuts like, you know, $20, $30 versus like things are like $150, $200, $275. You know, like I could, like certain hairstyles, I get $275 from one person. You know, just one, and I could just do nothing for the rest of the day. That's enough money, and if I do that the next day, like by the end of the week, like I make like $800.
And it's like it takes a long time to do women's hair, because a guy can just go to a barbershop
It's quick.
Quick zoom, you know, zoom. Here, you want a little taper? Zoom.
Yeah, there you go. It's quick. It's like maybe like an hour the most.
But yeah, like women, like my cousin, she just got graduation. She went all out on herself.
Yeah.
She went fake eyelashes, her hair, like oh my
makeup,
god, yeah,
everything. Yeah.
It's like
It takes
wow.
takes a lot. Yeah.
You guys take long, especially like since you know you're black and you have different type of hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, since like a white person would have hair, it's just you know straight.
Yeah.
Because your hair, like, you can put wigs, you can put
braids
other things
and
on
all
there,
that
yeah.
stuff. Like it's more versatile.
You can do so much shit with your hair. You know, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, hey, other cultures are doing the same now. They're, you know, doing the whole braids. I have like so many different kinds. I have like Asians, you know, Hispanics, and just white. Because people want the versatile. Even if like, to be honest, their hair is not really as strong to hold, you know, that. But they just don't last as long for them. But they do it. They do the cornrows and the braids and stuff like that. Yeah.
Do you have a name for your shop?
No, I don't, because I don't really like. I'm not really like going towards. I do. It's like Angie's Hair.
Angie's Hair.
Yeah, so it's like Angie's _ hair. That's it. And like I have my Instagram page. Yeah, so I really did not put any effort into naming it. I was just like Angie's _ hair page.
Yeah.
On my Instagram, it's just Angie's Hair page, which is like, you know, Angie does hair. And this is her page. That was just like the most thought I put into it. Because, you know, it's something that I've been blessed with. And to being able to do these styles and things like that. And, you know, not having to pay that much money to go to hair school. But it's not really like a strong passion.
Yeah. Where
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would do this for the rest of my life. Because the thing is, if I do it for the rest of my life, I feel like it takes away from like the love that I have for it, like the outlet that it is, you know, to be creative versus like, oh, I need to pay these bills and I need to do this and I need to do that. Yeah. That's why like it takes away from. That's why like I'm actively trying, like I'm starting to think about you going back to work, because I just feel like I've been doing that for work, and that feeling, I don't really like that. I mean, it's still rewarding when you're done and you're just like, oh my gosh, I did this. It's just like, just so pretty. But the process is just like taking us so much appointments. Like, I miss working. Also, I miss the elderly. I loved working with them. I really do. Yeah, but that's why I can't. That's why I don't have a shop or trying to pursue it, because I don't want it to become work.
Did you want it to become?
Yeah. I have a little area, salon chair. Well, you can see on my style, like salon chair,
yeah, like
everything.
Like, wow.
And yeah, and just like there, and you know, music and just, you know, good vibes and stuff. If you're lucky, I might give you a glass of wine. You gotta keep them coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
If I ask you to do my hair, now I'll pay you, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do it?
Personally, I wouldn't do your hair.
That's sad.
No, because like I feel like I don't really get that much practice into doing men's hair.
Yeah.
So, and for me, like starting to be kind of known around my area, like I don't want you to have a bad cut and just be like, oh, yeah, who did your hair? Angie did. I'm just like, oh my gosh, she looks so crazy. Okay. You know what I mean? That's the reason. But that's something like I think about. But for men hair, like I would have to go to barber school, because like I'm more versed with females, or specifically African American, or you know, African descent. That's what my specialty is, and I don't like to mess up things, so that's why I wouldn't do your hair. But if you're willing to experiment, we could think about something, and we could experiment. If you know, we could think about that. But for like actually doing your hair, it's just, you know, I don't like to mess up, because I don't like.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
also, I don't do hairstyles that I don't like. Even for a female, if you show me something and I feel like it would look crazy on you, I'm not going to be the one to do it, because you're not going to walk around and tell people I did that to your hair. You know? Because my thing is, I have to feel proud of my work.
Right.
you know, I have to be like, oh, I would do my hair like that. If I had a chance, I would do my hair like that. If I can't feel like that, I can't do it. That's just how I go about it. It also keeps me from like messing up and like getting bad reviews. Actually, I did the Style Seat website. I have a page on Style Seat. Style Seat's like it's like this website where you can find like barbers or hairstylists and stuff like that. And
you have your own page on there?
Yeah, so I gotta pay for it every month, but it was totally worth it because sometimes they send me clients that I don't even know.
Yeah, just send me the links to there, and I'll post them on this description box.
Yeah, no problem. Hold on. So, copy that. Here. I sent it to you.
Cool.
Yeah, so basically, on the Style Seat, I'm gonna do it from like, this is like my view, but I'm gonna do it from like a client's view. So let's do, I also have it in my Instagram link. Okay. Alright. So this is like how you see it. See? I have like 27 reviews, all 5 stars, because I'm kind of a perfectionist. You know, so far. I just made it like not even a year ago. So this is how the page looks like. You could also download the app to get it easier.
Can I see?
Here.
These are all your clients?
Not all. I can't put that much, but some of them. Well, that's some of them. The ones that they allow me to post. They don't allow me to post everything. Yeah. So there's more. They're just on my Instagram page. And I have so much I haven't even updated. So yeah, so you have like all the things, you know. So there's also like, I have the about me section. Like there's the reviews.
Oh, I want to read the reviews.
It's not a lot of reviews. More people just like do stars, but there's some reviews on there.
Enough said. 5 stars.
Yeah. And then there's the about me section. That's what you see if you go on it.
Hi there, I'm Fritny.
Yeah. So I have like, huh?
You wrote that?
Yeah, these are I wrote all that. So these are like all the rules, like what you need to know, what you're getting yourself into. You know, all the information that you need to know, the availabilities and everything like that.
Angies Hairstyles.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, and then there's like the services, and you know, I have the list. These are all the things that I know how to do, and I do them really well.
You do know how to do all this?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh man. And that's only with hair.
There's more, yeah. So these are the things that I offer. It's all on there. And then, you know, the Style Seat, if you go on the app, and you know, they'll recommend you.
What's a sew-in?
Oh, that's like when you sew tracks to your hair.
So what?
Tracks. So the girls that I did today. So like this is the sewing. So there's like tracks in it, in her hair.
And this is her hair.
No, this is a sewing. The point is to look like her hair.
Oh.
I specialize in scalp. But it's not her scalp. It's just, you know, it's just a process.
Scalp piano. Did you make a joke about scalp piano?
Yeah, I was like, on the next episode of Scalp Piano Part 2. Yeah. 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 Well, this was very
Thank you so much for
fun.
doing this.
No problem.
You're the first
No
female
problem.
that
Agreed.
yeah.
At first, I was thinking about it. I was like, whatever. I mean, something else to do. I thought it would be interesting, so. And I like to talk, so it works.
I like to ask questions.
Yeah.
I know there was so much in that conversation that I didn't get to, and I was just thinking because I was just so busy focused on listening to you, and like, oh man, it just passed me by. Like I forget to ask you those. Oh wait, no, because I'm just so listening.
You see, that's why you gotta take notes. You gotta take notes. If you take notes,
This is
then you
taking
can.
notes.
Yeah.
I started this because I just enjoy having conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps me have different sides of the world that I want to know about.
Yeah. That's cool. That's pretty cool. That's a good thing. Just keeping your mind open and learning.
Oh, I'm very open-minded.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. Don't forget me when you're famous.
Yes, so where people can follow you?
People can find me on Instagram at Angies_hair page. So Angie with an S _hair page. I also have a Snapchat, but I don't like the username, so I will not say it. But if you DM me, I will give you my my Snapchat. Yeah, and then if you go on to styleseat.com and you look up Fritny Fonselis, or even like Nearby Hairstylists, I'm located in Baltic, Connecticut, or it could be labeled as Sprague too. Sprague, Connecticut, it's the same thing. They just different names. So yeah, that's where I'm located.
Thanks, man.
No problem.